You know, like I said, it happens, and hopefully some kids can learn from it, but just don't get caught.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, I don't know if we've ever talked on a Monday before. With me, probably never, but hopefully more often on Mondays, is my good friend Tyler Parker from The Ringer.
Yo.
What's up, dude?
Man, happy to be here. Good to be here. Writing a note down next to my computer that says don't ramble and just having a good time, you know?
I'm really glad to have you on. Michele is on vacation, and I said, don't worry, Michele. I said,
I didn't even put two and two together. I can't compare to the magic of Michele. And I think all the listeners know that at this point, but I do want to make sure that they know that I also know that.
The truth is that none of us really can. I mean, the guy is like, just imagine being asked to do a podcast in a language that isn't your own and then like being good at it.
Also doing that. And like, I haven't gone and searched all the NBA podcasts in existence, but I'll bet you there aren't too many dudes that could have gone basically 30 minutes straight on Mitchich and like the type of player he is and done it in an actual, like, intelligent, coherent, I know what I'm talking about way.
Yeah.
And Michele just like, you know, that's a slow Tuesday for him.
It's amazing.
Like I hope I messaged him this once, but we are very lucky to have Michele in the little Thunder sphere for sure.
Definitely. So little Thunder news, which was really nice of them to just save this for the Monday podcast.
I appreciated it.
Yeah. Usman Garuba. We're down to one Usman on the team. Usman Garuba was let go by the Thunder today. And it's interesting. I thought he was somebody that might hang around.
Right.
And ultimately, the reason they dealt for him and made all those just wacky trades around the time that we were both in Vegas was so that they could get 4 second-round picks. And Ty Washington and Usman Garuba were obviously not truly a part of what they wanted moving forward. I think the Thunder just have the roster that they want, period. And they really like these guys. Obviously, there's going to be changes on the fringes through the next few years. But I think they really like the group of guys they have. They want to move forward with that group. And Garuba and Ty Washington just were not going to be part of that.
Them going, you know, when they did, I was about to say as quickly as they did. I guess that, you know, it wasn't just like, you know, as soon as the money hit the wallet, you spent it. But it was, you know, they got them out of there pretty fast. Like, it does sort of validates not the word, but it makes it, I think it sort of shows that, we were kind of right about how they feel about a lot of these dudes. And it's like, the more that I would sort of see different, you know, national media types like popping in with like, you know, well, is it going to be Wiggins or is it going to, I would just sort of be like, man, they really don't watch Wiggins. If they think that he's like on the level of these other dudes, like maybe not going to get brought back. It just sort of like, what?
Yeah.
Well,
just like the comments of like teams are just waiting. They're just hiding in the bushes in Oklahoma City, just waiting for these guys to be unleashed. And they're going to take them and put them in their 8-man rotation. It's like, do we really understand like who these guys are? Like Usman Garuba didn't play all that much for Houston.
No.
I understand. Like, does he play a position that might be a position of need for Oklahoma City? Like, yeah. Is there a chance that he could have worked out? Yeah, but clearly their level of interest wasn't that high in him. And also, this is like a good thing for if these guys are going to last in the league, because they probably weren't going to make the Thunder. And if they did, are they going to play all that much? Probably not.
Sure.
It gives them time to find another team to latch onto for training camp.
Right.
Where if they would have spent their entire time of training camp in Oklahoma City and then not made it, it becomes that much harder for those guys to get on a team.
Yeah.
So to let them go, I still think guys like Jack White are going to come in, like compete for those spots.
Sure.
Like we talked about. But I think it's, I mean, this is probably something that isn't done just like in isolation with the Thunder. It's like, oh, we don't like these guys. It's probably their agents too, like stepping in saying like, hey, listen, is my guy going to get a chance? And if not,
right,
please let us have a chance to go find somewhere else for him to land.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Ty Washington's agent and you're looking for any burn whatsoever, like the that Thunder backcourt, you're not going to find it there. And no, I mean, like once you start looking at the roster on some level, it kind of starts making some of the hand wringing around some of these fringes decisions feel, a little like, not silly, but just like kind of,
Huge waste of time.
yeah, well, just, yeah, like a little rich kid problems or something, right? Like, it's like there's a lot, there's the fun thing about the Thunder roster right now is how like malleable and flexible it is, and how the guys that exist right there, like, can shift up and down lineups and play in different weird ways. You can have Kenrich on the wing. You can have Kenrich play the 4. You can get wild like they did last year and have him play the 5. You can go 2 bigs with Jalen and Chet. You can just ride with, what either the starting lineup is going to look like, or, in the way that it's structured out, stick with that same set look, right? Maybe it's not Shea, Giddey, Dort, Jalen, and Chet. Maybe it's the lineup is, Giddey, Mitchich, Ooze, Jalen, and Chet, or some other weird combination of that. But like, they keep, I mean, we say this over and over, but they keep getting guys who are going to be comfortable like initiating offense and stuff like that. So I think that they are geared for this current NBA where like you've got to have a roster that can play a lot of different kinds of ways, and you've got to have like not just multiple bigs, but you've got to have guys that can do different things and just constantly like draw attention, right? Yeah. Like you need guys that teams have to take notice of. And it seems clear that that's where they're headed. Like, I'm with you that Garuba, like, he could slide his feet a little bit, right? He could, like, he showed some passing flashes. The threes, I guess, looked all right last year. I can't sit here and say I was inhaling Rockets tape this year, but like, I get that it's not, there are things to be excited about, but just like, the more guys that they bring in, it seems like they're really, at least the dudes that they play, the guys that they're going to play are guys that they, can trust to not get the yips with the ball, and then will play hard and guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, so it's, I mean, I'm excited that it's that, like, I don't have anything against Washington or Garuba, but it's fun that these dudes who at least we've got some history with are getting to stick around and at least continue towards another roster crunch or whatever. But
yeah. I just saw this. I don't know if you've seen who Russell Westbrook has currently been working out with one of the guys on the roster. And I want to play a little game with you. And it's called Who is Working Out with Russell Westbrook from the Thunder's roster?
Wow.
I'm going to give you 5 guesses. I'm going to give you 5 guesses to see if you know.
Kason.
No.
Who's?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. I cannot believe you got that so quickly. What made you think that?
Because it makes sense that the Thunder would be like, hey, when you're at your best, when you're decisive and aggressive, who's good at those 2 things? This guy that used to play here. And it makes sense to me that I'm not sure the Thunder is that like a same agent sort of thing? Is he like what's the setup there? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Thunder were like, hey, this is a guy who you could learn something from about like playing with purpose with the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, because I know that Russ is great for dudes, just like Russ is good at gassing them up and giving them confidence too. And like, I know that he's also, I mean, Oladipo's on record as saying it, but a lot of those guys, Paul George, like they see how hard he worked and they were like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's
they're both excel. So
it makes sense to me. That's exciting to me that Ooze would go and work with him. I like, hopefully, he still understands that he's not the number one option when he comes back. But
I'd love for Ooze to just come in and be like, all right, space out to the corners, everybody. And Chet, you're going to offensive rebound. You're not going to offensive rebound for me. You're actually just going to clear people out so I can grab the board and push and transition. Okay.
Preston comes into his office one morning and Ooze like swivels around and he's in his chair and he's like, look, Russ is not happy in LA right now. And he's done a lot for me. And I told him I was going to do this and he asked me not to, but look, I think that we need to go,
you know how you've been saving this Victor Oladipo contract? I know that this Oladipo contract plus 2 picks could get you Russell Westbrook. So
you don't have to say thank you. You just have to call Lawrence Frank.
Yeah.
It's
happen.
I mean, what do you like? Because I know one of the things that you wanted to talk about was like the like 9-man rotation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it is, once you start looking at it, like that's where the stuff gets, fun. And, I wonder how Daignault's going to handle all this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I keep coming back to like, what did they promise Mitchich? Like how, like it doesn't make sense for him to come over here unless he's getting a lot of action. Right. And so it sort of would be odd if he were anything but kind of the first guard off the bench to me. But I also if he doesn't guard, enough when push comes to shove, I could for sure see Daggs saying, all right, Vass, come over here, take a seat. Talk to Poku about what happens if you don't guard on this team, buddy.
Right.
But no, I like, it's fun because it is so, Jalen Williams, I think, is just kind of good. You know what I mean? Like Arkansas Jalen, I think he's just like, he's more explosive now. Like he seems bouncier. Him and Chet were like sort of, improvising some like little 4-5 pick and roll, give and go type of things in some of those summer league games and stuff. Like he just kind of seems like a guy that can play. It's a position of need. Like I don't imagine that his, I don't know how many big kind of like lineups they're going to trot out there. I think it'll depend on if Chet can, stay out of foul trouble like they think he can.
Mm-hmm.
I just soon not see a ton of double big lineups because I've heard you say that like Chet is at his most dangerous when he's attacking, these sort of fives that are out of their depth. And I agree with that. I also just think that he's a center too. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that I just like everything that he's been before suggests that that's what he is. And even if he's too frail to go full-time 5 this year, it seems like that's what they want and where he's headed. So I don't think you need to like reshape the roster or play in a way you're not going to just because you're worried about, putting some mileage on his tires. You know what I mean? Like that's what this time is for. Like he will probably look too weak against certain matchups, but that's fine. That's to be expected. And it will, like when you watch them in some, I mean, I know an open run is nowhere near the intensity of an NBA game or even these select scrimmages and stuff, but like it, he's not out there guarding a bunch of like fours and stuff. Like he can move his feet fine, obviously, like we know all that, but like, people are playing him at the 5. It seems like that's where they're going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's his ultimate destiny. And also like the Thunder played their best basketball with Kenrich Williams at center. And so like, they want to play smaller. They want to, and also like the smaller thing is just a weird misnomer because like Josh Giddey's 6'9",
right?
He's massive. Like all their guards are huge.
No, so whenever they play small next year, and like the announcers pointed out, if they go through like the height by height, they'll realize you're right. They'll realize how silly, how they're not playing small at all.
Yeah, they just aren't playing with like a giant 7-footer.
Right. It's not like a traditional like back to the basket, another guy in the 4 spot that's 6'8" who also has his back to the basket.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean I'm with you. I want to see like, because I think Kenrich has earned a bunch of minutes. I think one of the things that I mean I'm sure is by design with them, but it seems like just based off of kind of their dispositions and the way that they've operated, the way they operated last year and stuff like that. Like if it is some situation where Kenrich or Jalen Williams don't get a lot of run in a few games, like they just don't seem like the type of dudes that are going to, throw a big stink about it. You know what I mean? And so I think that like they've got that going for them with some of this like Mitchich kind of lineup jumble in the backcourt and stuff. Like I also think there's just going to be so much Santa Clara Jalen at the 4.
Yeah, for sure.
And also like, I mean, it was fun watching it, like just seeing some of the highlights from those select scrimmages, because it's like he's bringing the ball up a lot.
Yeah.
If Cade wasn't bringing it up, it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was initiating a ton. And it's like there's they're gonna need to lean into, all of a sudden we have a lot of these wing types now. They're going to need to lean into that and play a lot of those dudes together to just like play your best lineups,
mm-hmm.
but B, like capitalize on the direction the league is heading. I mean, you go back and think about Wiggins and how silly it is that people think he's going to leave. Like as important as centers are and as important as point guards are, and you can debate, which position on the court, if such a thing even exists anymore, is the most important. But like wings are still the thing that is the hardest to find, like quality dudes that can guard multiple positions, and like that they finally have these dudes. It's like they're not going to be looking for reasons to get rid of them. You know what I mean? Like that was it. I always I would see even whenever they bring up like Wiggins over JRE, like I could always see JRE getting dropped well before Wiggins. Like Wiggins is just like high quality to me. And I'm sure part of it's just homerness and stuff, but like, I really think he's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's one of the few guys that was playing in those playing games, off the bench, and I think they trust him to a degree, and he's the kind of guy that can take on like a small role and be happy with it. And, everybody loves him in the locker room too. Like
that makes sense.
He's just somebody that's beloved throughout the organization. So I would be surprised if he were cut this year. Now going forward, like things are going to get interesting. And then
once multiple like first round picks enter the mix next year and stuff, I do think all bets are off.
Yeah. But also I think if they wanted, I mean, obviously Garuba and Ty Washington are two players that now this is the third team that couldn't extract value from them.
Sure.
And it's not like, I think Atlanta and Houston both were like, hey, no, let's just do it. Let's just get rid of them before they made calls to see if anybody actually wanted them.
Right.
I mean, that's 3 teams. That's not a good sign.
No.
So if people are like, man, teams are waiting to pounce on these guys that
Yeah.
Thunder are going to let go of. They're just waiting. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no. If they're waiting on these guys, they could have had them 2 other times if they wanted them.
Yeah. I also think like if they're waiting on those guys, if you know, a big like organizational W for you is going out and picking up Ty Washington, like let's go reevaluate some of our past decisions and see where we have made some mistakes. Because if you're hanging your hat on this, like, you know, I mean, sometimes with all this stuff, it just feels like it's August, right? And it's like people are looking for something to talk about. So it's like, oh, here's a nothing transaction I can rattle a tweet off about and get a little engagement. But yeah, I mean, you're just sort of like, I just have a hard time believing like anybody out there is thinking like, all right, well, now we've got the piece that we needed after those 2 sorts of things, right? Like it's sort of
now the Kings can finally make a run that they have Usman Garuba.
Right. And I mean, I'm like, you know, Garuba will get on somewhere and he might play well or whatever. I don't even mean it like that. I just sort of mean like, it seems like fussing over him. There's like better things to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Okay. I have some questions for you. One was just kind of a general question just about how you feel about the roster. I think we kind of, talked about that, but more specifically, if you were to pick a 9-man rotation, the Thunder, and what's cool, and we'll talk about this in our next question, is we're going to have an opportunity to see early on what they want to do in these in-season tournament games. Like, what do you want to do to win a game? Who are the 9 guys? We know what the starting lineup is.
Yeah.
Who are your 4 guys off the bench that you're bringing in to help the Thunder win one basketball game?
If it's one game.
It's one game.
I'm gonna put Mitchich in there because I know that it would be weird if he didn't play in this sort of, you know what I mean? Like they're not bringing him over at that price point after all the like posturing beforehand, unless he's going to have a serious role on the team. And it would shock me if he's not one of the main dudes and not necessarily getting starters minutes, but like Bobby Jackson, Sacramento Kings minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it would just surprise me. But the Kenrich,
unless the Thunder are just really bitter that they felt held hostage over the last years, and they're like, hey, now you're going to know what it feels like to be held hostage here. You're sitting on the bench all season. Good luck.
Say something, and we'll trade you to Houston. Say something.
Right. No, I think you're right. I think he's going to be part of the rotation. I think he's going to play. I mean, he can shoot it. He's a good passer. Defensively, like none of us can claim to know what that will look like at the NBA level.
No.
It's probably not going to be great, but they also have other pieces in place to maybe, to help with that situation. So, I
mean, Chet's going to help a lot out there.
Yeah.
Dort's going to help a lot out there. Ooze, Kayson, these guys, like obviously Jalen Williams.
We're back to Kayson, by the way.
What'd you say?
We're off Kayson. We're on to Kayson.
Why did he say that it used to be Kayson?
I guess that's what his mom named him, but then everybody has just called him Kayson.
So it's back on Kayson? Okay.
He requested Kayson.
Okay. All right. I apologize, Kayson.
We're back to Kayson. It was the most unnecessary journey ever I've gone through with just the name of a human.
They really is stressful for us Potters out there, They really got to be thinking about the Potters more.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm going to scold him when I see him at media day.
Hey, Kayson.
Hey, Kayson.
What the hell, man? It would be so funny if that's how you started your relationship with him. Like if you're like just trying to endear yourself to like everybody else, but just with him, like, dude, what is going on? What is your problem?
Do you realize what my profession is? Do you realize what you did to me?
But what we also have to understand is that there may well be a third pronunciation that we are not aware of that Chris Fisher's going to enter into the mix once the season starts. Once he gets a hold of it, it might change again.
I think he's just going to go full French, like croissant.
It would either that or like, Kaysen Wallace or something like that.
Like the world. Case and Wallace is probably how I'll say it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my.
I remember we had a buddy that he moved from Oregon whenever we were in the 4th grade, and he called it Six Flags. And we were like, dude, what's wrong with you, man? You weirdo.
Planet are you from,
You
kid?
weirdo from the Northwest. It's Six Flags. What are you talking about?
6 Flags.
What were you asking me? I think yeah, Mitchich, I think Kenrich is going to be there in any situation.
Yep.
And then this is kind of where it gets funky for me in terms of like if I'm going to go to 9, because I think it's probably I think it's some combination of, and this is probably obvious to say, but either Jalen Wallace, who's
I think you said Jalen. Wait,
I said Jalen Wallace because I looked at Kaysen because Kaysen and Jalen, Jalen Williams, is Kassan Wallace, Isaiah Joe, But then there's also then Wiggins is also in the mix because Wiggins got so much run in those must-wins last year.
Yeah.
If it's me and I gotta win, then I think that my final 2, honestly, one of them's Isaiah Joe.
Yeah.
And Wiggins is the other one.
Okay.
And that will change, and that is not a ranking of dudes who I am most excited by, or even dudes I would keep over other dudes in the future. Yeah. But if it's a must-win kind of, one game sort of thing, that would be me. Now, in terms of Kaysen, he looks awesome, and he seems like a man after Dagnall's own heart.
Yeah.
Like Mark is going to, if he hasn't already fallen in love, I think he's going to fall hard for the way that he plays. Mm-hmm. And I think that if the shot is at all consistent, I think that Mark will have a hard time keeping him off of the floor just because he's the exact type of dude that he likes, it seems like.
Yeah.
And Kenrich, the reason I always have Kenrich there is because like I'm never worried when Kenrich is out there. Like if he's involved, like I just think that he's like a special kind of malleable that probably not casual Thunder fans, but just casual NBA fans still don't understand how good he is just because of like ill-timed injuries and also just the Thunder not having been as good in the years prior to last.
Yeah.
But I think that, like you talk about the addition of Chet and stuff like that, and even somebody like Mitchich, like Kenrich just plugs holes.
Yeah.
And is the type of guy that, like, he's another guy who you're maybe less concerned, at least in the regular season, about Mitchich's defense because you can throw Kenrich out there with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think you'll probably like basically just and again, I'm talking out of my ass. I'm saying this based off of stuff that people who have watched Mitchich way more than me, namely like McKelly and then like other tweets here and there. But like I imagine that he's gonna get they're going to put Mitchich on somebody they can hide him on probably.
Yeah.
And hope that, he doesn't get torched. Guys don't get hunted the way that they do in the postseason and the regular season. So I don't think I'm not as like ready to start worrying about that. But I think that the Thunder have built up a very, very good defense, like without an obvious rim protector. And now they've got that stopgap on the back end with Chet. And so it's not like that these stellar defenses they've been putting out there have been just chock full of guys who you would naturally think are like plus defenders, right? Like it, they've made do with some guys who you wouldn't think would be able to be a part of a defense that is like a top 10 defense, for a good percentage of the season. So I've got a lot of faith in their ability to figure some things out. And like you say, like Giddy can shift down a little bit, Kenrich, Jalen Williams, there's Dort, Shea. They've got a lot of bodies, I think, that they can throw at some of these wing types. And so you don't necessarily have to be as afraid of this guy's going to get roasted one-on-one until postseason. But yeah.
Now, a name that you have, I'm going to say it, outright refused to even mention at this point.
It's not a refusal because I know where you're going.
Is Poku.
I know.
And you just won't even say his name.
I haven't refused to. I mean, look, he knows how I feel about him. And no, I don't know what to do with Poku. I will say that not in the same way as it has been with Wiggins, but anytime I see his name get brought up, I'm like, I don't think they're going to get rid of him. They still don't know what all they don't like in the same way that like the answer with like, are they going to pull their stuff together and go get somebody now? Because like all of a sudden, there's a little, they look like they're poised or whatever. Anytime I've seen like Poku's name mixed in with any of that, I'm always just sort of like, I don't think that they're ready to be like, or in the way that sorry, I got ahead of myself. In the way that like you have said, I have said like, hey, remember when Presti was like, they don't know what they have yet, so we're not going to do anything. I think in the same way with like the version of Poku that actually looked like he was steady and, plus defender, not just as like a last second, cleanup deterrent at the rim, but also like a guy who sort of looks like he knows where to be, you know what I mean? And like help in ways that aren't just blocks. I don't think they've gotten a chance to see him with the roster yet. And I think that he has a lot of skill that could be amplified by the way that these dudes have developed in the time that he was out. And then also just like, I think he'd have a blast playing next to Chet, to be honest with you. I think that he would he'd try the wildest shit to try to get the ball to Chet. And I think it would just make me so happy until I was like, all right, Mark, that's enough. But I'm still not ready to give up on him. If only because I do weirdly think he can play in a lot of different, he's different than JRE, right? Like he's different even than Wiggins. Like you could play him at a lot of, in some different scenarios. And yeah, I mean, he's still, even with all the talent on the roster, I would still be looking at him a lot of the time when he's out there. You know what I mean? There is just something about him. Like, I think he would be so excited to like, if he could somehow, my dream for him would be to somehow kind of fall ass backwards into like a skinny Boris Diaw role for the team.
The world is just a better place when we get to see Poku playing basketball.
And I really think that he's got like the goods to be part of like a winning team that like shares the basketball and they're still going to let, even last year, like they're going to let a lot of people touch it. And there's a lot of people that need touches, and he's definitely not going to have it near as much as he did 2 seasons ago. Right. But like I don't think that they're going to play a brand of ball where it's like, okay, go stand in the corner and just like your entire, I mean, the shot will probably be what he live and dies on, just in terms of if he sticks or not.
Yeah.
But like, he's going to get to do other stuff other than just like stand out there and wait for Chet to get doubled or whatever and hope he can hit a 3. Like, I think that they seem committed to playing in the way that like he he would like to. It seems like, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Where do you stand? Where do you stand on him? Don't act like you haven't had deep feelings for Poku.
I love him. I think he's great. I think he should be the star of this team, and I'm hopeful that he can still fulfill that destiny. I have seen some footage of him shooting this summer.
Yay or nay?
He doesn't look like he's trying to fold his body in half anymore to get the ball to the hoop.
He doesn't look like a collapsing lawn chair.
Yeah, he does not. Because for so long,
like a crocodile trying to.
I mean, it's just I've tried to do it a few times. I get out there and play with my kids, and I've tried to just shoot it like Poku, or you try to move your feet as far forward as possible.
Oh yeah, I can't. Yeah, anytime you do it, I get so focused on my feet, the shot like hits the pole.
Yeah. So that looks good. I just don't know. I mean, it's gonna be all about upper body strength.
Yeah.
And making shots.
They're gonna try to get him minutes at like the 4, right? Like
yeah,
kind of 3.
He should play minutes at either big position, and they're gonna give him a chance. And the world is just more fun if it works out. Like, can you imagine?
It's so much more fun.
Yeah, like it'd be great. I mean, in an ideal world, Poku gets an extension, he sticks around. It's 2027, the Thunder in the playoffs, and Poku's coming in off the bench, and the crowd's going berserk.
I know. I like. It was one of those things like, you haven't seen him in a minute, haven't like thought about like or seen a highlight of his in a minute or whatever, and then I saw some picture get shared of him like doing some squats, and it was like a reminder of just like how much I want it to work, because I was immediately like, hey man, those legs are getting thick. He can put on some weight, I was immediately like, look, we just transfer some of that to the arms. He's not a lost cause muscle wise.
He's got some trunks,
Yeah. He's hard to knock off his spot, maybe. Fingers crossed.
No, not true. I
want that to be the breakout. Poku's hard to knock off his spot.
I would love for it to work. I really would.
Yeah,
do I have doubts? Yes, I do.
Yes.
Do I have hope in my heart? Yes, I do. Okay, let's talk about this in-season tournament.
Yeah.
I think it's first, just give me your general thoughts on the in-season tournament.
Like, initially rolled my eyes at it and still sort of do, but after looking at the way that they're going to do it, and that it's basically not going to really add any games to the schedule, I'm on board, if only because like I was wrong about the Elam ending in the All-Star game. You know what I mean? Like when I heard that, I was like, why are you messing with this? This is we've been playing the sport for a long time. Let's just keep playing the sport how we play the sport. What's going on here? Why are we doing this? But then you watch it and you're like, actually, that's kind of when like in certain contexts, this is pretty cool. And the Elam ending is fun because they were doing the Elam ending in the summer league too, right?
Overtime.
Did they do that at all? Overtimes, yeah.
Yep.
And that it was fun then too.
Yeah.
So like I'm willing to like see the positives with it and expect that like they'll figure it out, if only because it seems like I'm right. It's really not basically if you made it to the finals, it would be adding one extra game to your season.
Yeah. If you go to the finals, it's adding an extra game. Everything else will be added afterwards. If you make it to the knockout rounds, those knockout rounds will serve as those regular season games. And if you make it to the finals, it's one game.
And so I think that's like I'm into that idea to see what it looks like. Like I'm all for trying some weird stuff to see if something can land. The thing that makes me most excited about it, honestly, is that every year the league sucks at giving the teams that actually deserve nationally televised games.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not just talking about like fun up and coming Cleveland Cavaliers types of teams from last year who weren't on TV enough, or even the Magic or us last year, right? Like Shea's first team All NBA dude has hardly any national games to speak of, and they wonder why some people don't, watch games. It's like, well, this is a problem that y'all have presided over. This is at least a way to give the teams a chance to kind of like on their own merit get more time in front of a national TV audience.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. And it probably does kind of behoove some of the younger teams who feel like they've got the young legs to be able to push for something in the middle of the season and aren't going to tire themselves out for the end. Like, I like the idea that it might get a chance to put some of these young dudes in clutch situations that feel a little bit bigger than they might if it was just a regular season sort of game. I like a thing that shows players in different contexts and ratchets up some pressure, even if it is kind of like something that we're just now trying out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, anything to try to make December competitive, like,
sure,
good. Try it. You can always tweak things as you go. What do you think about the group? West Group C. It involves the Sacramento Kings, the Warriors, the Wolves, and the Spurs.
It honestly, like, looking at the group just made me think of like the thing I thought whenever I looked just at the full West, which is just like somebody's going to lose some games.
Yeah.
And I think this, I mean, I'm as big a Wemby believer as the next guy. Like, I think I would trust the Spurs the least out of all of these teams, though. I think
that's true. Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's crazy. Like, I hate to like throw any shade the Warriors direction. I think out of all these teams, the Warriors beat them in the playoffs last year. Maybe it's unfair to put Sacramento ahead of them. I don't know. Like, I think that a lot of people forgot that like Sabonis was playing with a broken thumb all year and sort of like talked about the Kings like they were this sort of finished product and like this is, and so sometimes whenever they consider like the drop, I wonder if that like Fox also got hurt in that playoff series and but he looked game as hell and ready for it in a great way. Sabonis back healthy. Like, I'm a big Keegan Murray guy. Like, I think him with another year is just going to be very exciting. And, it for the first time, it kind of seems like they kind of, know what they're doing there and have a direction. And so I'm not like, if the Kings take a step back, I don't think it's necessarily because like they're worse. I think it's because like the West is healthier, or what I'm like, or just just high quality. I want to be higher on Minnesota because I love so many of their guys, but like I really do think, and I know that there are some
Gobert guy.
Oh, I was a big Gobert guy, but then saw Giddey rip the ball away from him and just kind of struck me that maybe Gobert kind of plays a little soft sometimes.
And big Towns guy, big fan of his personality mostly.
I just would love to be I would love to drive Gobert and Towns like in an Uber XL and just hear what they talk about. Like, I would give them the quiet ride. I'm not going to try to chat them up or anything like that. I want to hear what they discuss. Does I'm sure Gobert's trying to get him into Rogan and, and Cat's like, hey, that disease killed my entire family. So, and I'm sure that that's kind of where the convo ends, but I just want to be there to hear it myself. I love Edwards so much and I love McDaniels so much that like I really want to believe in them more than I should. and obviously, like, it seems like Edwards is like, how he's played in these U.S. games is so exciting. And I mean, the way that he's played in the playoffs the last 2 years, really, like, he's really shown up. And I just, I want to see him really soar. I do think that Gobert mucks too much stuff up ultimately for them to be able to. And I don't think that Cat is pumped up about not being the best guy on the team. And that feels like a relationship that's destined to sour.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just, I want enough years to get down on Gobert's contract to where they can find somebody to offload him. And then, like, as Edwards is getting to that, like, kind of on ramp onto his peak, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then, like, you can sort of see, like, what he can really do. But I don't know. I mean, the Warriors are gonna, like, what do you think about the war? Like, I can't figure out what I think about the Warriors anymore. Like, what do you think about them?
I think they want to win the title.
No, for sure. That
how important this tournament is going to be to them.
No, so, I don't think the tournament will be important to them, but I do, like, they're still going to be trying to win games, though, right? Like,
I mean, they're going to be good. Certainly, they're going to be good. They easily have the smartest team in the NBA, if not like one of the top 5 smartest teams in the history of the NBA, like on their roster right now. And they're going to be tough, certainly. I'm just so intrigued to see who cares about these, like, first games, like, to get to the knockout rounds. Like, do they really want to get to the knockout rounds?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm with you. I don't think they're going to be like playing Chris Paul 35 minutes, or whatever, like, or Steph or whatever. Like, I don't think.
I mean, maybe they would play Steph like a lot and say, Steph, go win this game for us, which he very well could. I mean, the Warriors could win this whole tournament if they wanted to.
Sure.
I just don't know what that will look like. That's something that I'm very intrigued to see, because it could be just like, hey, all the tryhards do really well in this tournament, and the teams that are really trying to win the whole thing don't give as much. Like, maybe Denver doesn't give as much, Milwaukee or Boston and teams like that, or Phoenix. I just don't know what those teams will look like here and how much they care. But if you're, I don't know, if you're the Thunder, if you're the Wolves, if you're the Pelicans, if you're the Mavericks, if you're the Cavs or the Knicks, this is like a time for you to really try to show everybody what you got. Like, I feel like those teams are certainly going to compete really hard. Now, I'm just curious to see what, like, the top tier teams, like the top 5 teams in the league, how much do they really care about it? Will be very interesting to see.
No, I'm with you. I'm trying to think about it just in terms of like even though they're going to be part of these group stages and things like that, like, just thinking back to these, like, even like, I don't think Milwaukee last year would have given a shit about winning.
Yeah, probably not
the thing, but, like, good luck getting them to lose during the portion of the season in which, like, like the way Milwaukee was playing during the middle of the early part of the season, middle of the year last year, like, I don't know if there was enough, they could have taken enough off the gas to lose one of those games. You know what I mean? Like, it could still, like, but I definitely hear you that, like, I don't think you're going to see the Suns playing Durant and Bradley Beal 40 plus minutes and, trying to win some overtime game in, like, I definitely see what you're saying there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That West A group would be the one that I wish that we were in, with no Ja Morant for the Grizzlies,
right? Yeah.
Phoenix, Lakers, Jazz, Portland. Like, that's definitely the weakest one.
Do you know if are they going to randomly change them up every year, these groups, or are they going to stay?
Record? It's based on last year's record, and then just like general, like, feel. Like, they had these, like, your top tier teams, like a middle tier team, and then you're like,
because I know it said it was like random, but anytime I see that, I'm like, nah, all right, well, maybe
it's not like, there's just no way it's random.
Yeah,
like, that's just can't be the case. Okay, Tyler, you are on your Oklahoma media tour right now. Apparently,
I didn't know that.
The star of the Oklahoman. yesterday. Jay in the chat says, Tyler, Fort Gibson, Shawnee, Columbia, and now on Down to Dunk. It's a natural progression for so many.
Hey, Jay is spot on. I've reached the mountaintop, and I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm here on Down to Dunk on a Monday. No, I'll bow out of the Monday Mountain, as soon as McKelly's. No, I mean, yeah, it was. You're all the Down to Dunk listeners know what a gem Joe Masato is, and yeah, he hit me up and said he was wanting to do that, and I was just like, shit, Joe, I read a lot of box scores in the Oklahoman when I was a child. This is like, it's like that was back when the Oklahoman, like they covered more of the state, just like delivery wise. Like you just got, like I know it doesn't make it to the eastern part of the state as much now, but like, yeah, if I was going to try to get any like OU football information, I was going to the Oklahoman. Like it, it was. I didn't know it was going to be so. I knew he asked me, questions and stuff, but I didn't know what the format was going to take. So yeah, apologies to anybody who opened that up and was like, "What is this guy staring at me? Why am I looking at a picture of a guy holding a trophy from 13 years ago? Who cares?"
I loved it, but
no,
I'm a little biased, but I loved it.
No, I haven't heard from anybody who didn't love it, but that's just because those people are dead to me already. You know what I mean?
So weird if someone was like, "Hey, that article in the Oklahoman sucked."
Just so you know, I hated it.
I hated it. Go follow Tyler on Twitter. Go read his stuff at The Ringer. Also, so we did this right before the plan.
We did do this.
I would love for you to get a chance to plug your book again on our podcast.
Man, there should be like the Jaws theme right now or something trying to get me to do this. There's just blood in the water already. 5-year-old girl watches her dad get shot in 1984 Oklahoma. I'm going to stop that tone immediately. And no, watches her dad get shot, and then the book follows the guy that shot her dad and her. It's kind of parallel narratives. And it takes you from 1984 to 2010. It's a fictionalized Oklahoma, like there's an Oklahoma City Thunder game that makes an appearance. There are mentions of like, Tulsa and Rashawn Woods and the Selman brothers and, real Oklahoma touchstones, but it's also like, I didn't want to have someone be like, you can't get to Pryor in 20 minutes, like what, like that Taco Bell wasn't in Wagner then. What are you talking about? So I was like, no, let's make up some town names. That'll be fun. But yeah, no, it's kind of, I would like to think that it's funny. But yeah, there's some sad stuff in there too. Worked on it for 7 years, came out from Penguin Random House on July 13th. Been fun. It's been a real trip to like have it just sort of be out there finally now. And it's been so nice just to, friends like you, asking about it and seeing, it's been a lot of fun seeing people in Oklahoma, read it and be like, "Hey, Brahms, hell yeah." You know what I mean? Like, that's like what I wanted. I wanted there to be like, like, "Oh man, I remember Eric Coley," just like I wanted some shit like that. There's a lot of very Oklahoma specific references that I knew no one else would get. And as I told Joe, I did not give a shit about that. I just wanted to treat our state with the kind of inside baseball lingo that like a lot of big cities get. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go explaining who this like famous Yankee is in a New York novel. So I'm not going to tell you who, I'm not going to go into some big long spiel about Joe Washington. Like you can go look up, people can go look him up and be like, oh, he wore silver shoes. That's awesome. But yeah, that was more, I broke my don't ramble rule in the midst of my explaining the book, but I think I stayed on the rails a little bit better this time.
You did, but you didn't even say what the name of the book is.
Holy shit.
It's called A Little Blood and Dancing.
Oh my God, Andrew, what am I doing? A Little Blood and Dancing. Yeah. If you could take this part out and then just start with, well, it's called A Little Blood and Dancing.
Do you have an audio version of this book yet?
I do not have an audio version of the book yet. That's coming out. I don't have much to do with that, which has been a thing I have learned.
Okay.
But September 25th, I think, is the shelf date. There's been like there's been a couple delays, which have not made me very happy, but I also have no control over it. Yep. And so apologies to anybody out there that is like, hey dude, what the hell? But yeah, I've been told that like no ifs, ands, or buts, September 25th, it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming to Oklahoma too at some point. Like, and I'm gonna announce that pretty soon. But I'm trying to figure out some other. I got to talk to you about some of that offline.
Okay. I'll be there with a Sharpie, ready.
Great, that would be great because I don't like to carry Sharpies because they're permanent.
Go check out his book. I consume audiobooks only at this point because I have a huge yard to mow.
I do not you don't even need to give me the lawn thing. Some people, I get it. Like it's hard to sit there with a book open and
yeah. So I will look forward to September 25th when I can download it onto my phone and have it read to me. So cannot wait for that. Tyler, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Dude, always a blast. Thank you, Jay, for your lovely question.
We'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.